All right, hey again, everybody. How you doing? It's Basil's Eternally. How you doing? How you doing? We've got one more day of this heat wave, and it's going to go away for a little while. 11:23 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 24th June 2025. So I've done a few of these tutorials before. So for those of you who've seen them, this is probably going to be of limited, if any, if there's any interest at all. But I get some comments periodically, and just had one the other day about people having difficulty just working with player photos and some of the real basic stuff with Out of the Park 26. So this is not going to be a deep dive or anything like that. This is going to be just very basic. Go from there, because somebody had talked about that the player photos were working for a little bit and then they weren't. Somebody else talked about the player photos were like, I don't know, like didn't know where to put them, and that it was a very overly difficult process to get real photos in here. And I know most people that play Out of the Park baseball, they play it with they use Face Gen. I don't like Face Gen because I want the real pictures of the real baseball players, because one of the foci, there you go, a little bit of Latin for you there, of this channel. The main thrust of this is history, the history of the game. And so I want people to see pictures of these ball players as they look. Now, my photo file is out of date, so you are going to see some Face Gen as we go through this. And Face Gen does a really good job with newer players, not so much back in the old days, back in the dead ball era, 19th century, whatever. And, it's improving and stuff like that. But again, Hannes Wagner never wore a goatee. And a lot of the guys in the dead ball era, if it's not quite sure or it can't reference them or something, it's not going to look like them. So with that said, let's get into it. So what you have to understand about Out of the Park 26 and where ballparks go, where photos go and everything is just being able to just go around File Explorer. Now, I'm going to assume, and I know I'm not going to use the old trope here, I'm going to assume that you bought this game on Steam, which, while a lot of people are afraid of Steam, Steam is very easy to use. The other advantage to Steam is the workshop. There's a lot of cool workshop items for Out of the Park baseball, and Steam keeps the game automatically updated. If you buy it directly from Out of the Park Developments, you're going to have to keep checking for updates. You're seeing your email, then you go to update the game. This just auto updates, and it's really nice in that way. So before we actually get into what we're working with here, right? So if we go to workshop, okay, you can see here. So the things that I've downloaded here, of course, I've got A.S. Rivkin's Ballpark Collection, which is a really nice compliment to Silva M, to Mike Silva's. Hey, John, how you doing? Good to see you, man. And then here's the big one. Of course, everybody should get the Historical Stadium mod and Historical Uniform mod. These are from Mike Silva. You know him as Silva M on the Out of the Park boards. Okay, Flying Canuck has some great ballparks as well, so I subscribe to those. And then the embroidered MLB team logos. These are fantastic. There's H Field 070 says use Steam for all PC games now except Out of the Park. Still, for some reason, can't hop away from 20 years of habit, direct download of Out of the Park. So you get the free key every year for Steam, but haven't used it yet. And John says, greetings from Jersey. Greetings from Jersey. So I don't know. Our heat wave is supposed to break tomorrow night. So I'm guessing for Jersey, that's going to be maybe around the same time or Thursday. So by Friday, it's supposed to get back down to 76. We were at 105 today with the real fill temperature. In Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that's just insane. But here's the thing. Even if you do, even if you don't use Steam and you buy this directly through, what is it, Fast Spring or whatever, in other words, right from the Out of the Park developers, the directory structure is still going to be the same. And once you understand where to put things in a directory, that is really 99.9999% of the battle for just getting the things into out of the park baseball to, I don't know, chart it up. And I mean, in the big thing, of course, the ballparks, but people have been expressing interest about player photos, and I just want to touch on those. So John says he's going to be up Rhode Island on Thursday. You got to find Ken Castro, man. That's where Ken is. Rhode Island. So, all right. So what I have here is I have my Windows Explorer here. Let's bring it up. And there's all these. This is my photo pack again. It's not updated, but it's got like 45,000 pictures. So there are some players that I'm missing. So what's nice about the park baseball is the photos you use here. If you're also a junkie like me and you own a ton of other baseball games, you can use these photos in quite a few other baseball games. The big one, of course, that comes to mind is Action PC, and I'm guessing that when Pocket Pennant Run does the big release with player picks, they're probably going to be using the same format. At least I hope so. So if Craig or Paul or Matt catch this, don't use the baseball reference ones that Diamond Mind uses, because these are more, a lot of people are already going to have player photos anyhow. And I think that if you have them use the ones that are in Baseball Mogul or Diamond Mind, you're making people do some additional downloads that you probably don't want to do. All right, let's go up one here on the tree. And again, people just screen cap when you need to, just do a screen capture and stuff like that. Okay, so everything is going to be, so if you don't have it on Steam, it's still going to be program files. I think it's at OOTP developments, out of the park, whatever. I used to buy it on Steam, but I would buy it just to support developers. I would buy it like the 3 days before it released on Steam just to support them. But frankly, now that the game is at $50, which is still worth it, $100. And again, you do get the discount. You get 10% off and stuff like that, but still around $90. And I'm not going to play one version. So I support them rather by, by playing, buying Out of the Park Baseball every year and Out of the Park Go every year. Out of the Park Go is $10. And then if you want all the seasons from 1901 to present, it's an additional $20 or something. So I'm giving them my financial love and a lot of exposure. Okay, so one of the things that confuses people is there's a folder here called Pictures, and there's one called Photos. So the Pictures directory, right, because you'd think, oh, I'm doing player picks. And then, people will, if they're brave enough, they're going to look in their directory and say, oh, okay, well, there they are. So that's not where player pictures go. So I would say, just for your own sanity, just pretend it doesn't exist. But it does go. They go in Photos. So that's just where we are. And right now, this doesn't take up that much space. It's like 835 megabytes. So not too bad. Okay. So one of the big ones that you're going to run into, but it's worth it, are the ballparks. Okay. This takes up 10 gigabytes of space, of hard drive space. And that's really not a lot. Okay. So this is where all your models hide and stuff like that. This is where, like, when you install Mike's Mod and A.S. Rifkin's and Flying Canucks ballparks and so on and so forth, this is where they all live, right here. So if you don't have Steam, just put all these in the ballparks directory and you're ready to rock and roll. So that's where they live. And they will show up in game. And we'll even do some basic things about how to assign ballparks, things like that. Just really, really quickly. Hey, Nathaniel Advocate 88, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. So this is more going to be, me just talking to you guys. But for anybody that's really, really new to Out of the Park Baseball that will catch this little broadcast later, I hope you'll find this helpful. Okay. All right. One of the beautiful things about Mike Silva's ballparks, well, there's many, many beautiful things, but the game will will auto assign the correct ballparks and the correct logos. If you're doing a season replay, if you're doing a tournament, if you're creating a sort of all-time league, it will do that. Now, when you create fictional leagues with real players, you'll get the ballparks, but the logos won't be right. The uniform mod also, but most people do season replays, so it's basically just getting things in the right directories. Ballparks go in ballparks, player photos. Just start in your mind, just start calling them player photos, and just put them in there. And then we'll just show you some settings here in Out of the Park Baseball to as far as face gen, either disabling it or whatever. Now, Mike has done some things. I don't know if he's ever put them up on his channel, where he has an application that actually helps with face gen. Again, I'm not a fan of face gen for the reasons, again, that I'll just repeat really quickly. I want people to see what the players really look like, even if it's a grainy photo of somebody from 1879. I think that's a little better than just the AI that's in here, which is really good. Just trying to come up with something. But again, seeing players that I know what they look like. Hannes Wagner is my favorite player of all time, and when I saw when he was wearing a goatee, I'm like, that never happened. Every picture I've seen of Hannes Wagner, even in an old age, never wore facial hair. So I don't know. I guess maybe the game just assumes that players in the dead ball era all wore mustaches and goatees. I have no idea. So Nathaniel says he's doing well. He's very busy. I'm applying for another advocacy job. Well, we wish you the best on that, my friend. Hope you get that. I know that all the good vibes here in the family, everybody sent out to Chris Slovic. Didn't take him long and got himself a new job. So, yeah, Nathaniel, I am completely convinced everything is you're gonna have yourself the job that you want, my friend. Okay. All right. So directory structures. Now, if I'm just going to give you another little incentive, folks, if you're not playing the game on Steam. Okay, so we already talked about how the game auto updates on Steam, how the workshop puts everything, in its right place. Okay. If you're not using that and you just bought the game, you can't use the workshop interface. So if you bought this directly from Out of the Park Baseball, you're not going to see Workshop Central because it's not going to connect to the it won't connect. You didn't buy it through Steam. Steam didn't get their cut. But you're going to be doing a lot of work, a lot of downloading and putting things into proper directories where Steam does it all for you. So, again, maybe the only downside to using Steam for some people that are afraid of it, there's nothing to be afraid of. Steam is so easy to use and has so many super deep features. And you can, rather than me doing it, I think just going to some of the bigger gamer channels, you go on YouTube, you'll find lots of really cool in-depth things that you can do with Steam that are like the game, like for tailoring game recommendations. The exploration thing is really cool. It's really a lot you can do, but basically Steam just, you install it and you're ready to rock. Okay. All right. So I'm going to see here. I have a lot of games already loaded and I don't want to, you only have a limited number of games. I wish they would increase this. There's really not enough games in here. Unfortunately, or enough save spots. And I'm loath, I tell you, to get rid of one of these, but I think I'm going to do this. So we're going to get rid of, I don't know, what do we have here? Now we were doing the 1919 series. Let's get rid of the, I had Drive for the Pennant going here. So let's get rid of that. We get rid of the 2013 one. So we just delete it. So that way we can just start a new game and that's not going to kill anything. I had a couple projects I was doing, but as when I do these, I'm just going to take out the other one too. So as I'm doing these, I realized, so I was doing the 1915 series for Ken Castro. He's a big Phillies fan, and Grover Cleveland Alexander pitched a whale of a game. Well, the game got nuked because I was doing one of these tutorials, and boom, that was it. It was gone, man, because I had saved it, and however it goes. All right. Let's go to this 1970s one. So this is one of the things that you can, again, get through the workshop, and you can get it on the Out of the Park site. I'm sure this is by Mike Garland. So he has like this whole set of quick starts. And quick starts, there's a directory called quick starts. So again, just know your directories. If you're using the workshop, you don't have to worry about directories so much. If you don't, then just understand that everything is going to be in that overarching data directory that you find in Out of the Park Baseball. Oh, you're welcome, Nathaniel. You are welcome. So that's where everything is going to be. You go into data, you're going to see ballparks, ball cap, uniforms, photos. Okay. But let's go ahead and load this game, and show you some little settings and stuff. We actually should just create, you know what? No, instead of that, we're going to just start a new game. So you're new to Out of the Park Baseball, and we're going to keep this pretty simple. So lots going on here, obviously, and this game has come a long way as far as its user interface. If you played this back in the day, and I should show you Out of the Park 8 just to show you the difference. This game has, by leaps and bounds, its user interface is just incredible. It's got its own help wiki down here if you want to. The forums are very, very helpful for Out of the Park Baseball. It's a really, really, really good community. A lot of the big guns have come into this channel, hung out, with our family and stuff like that. Mike Garland, immediately comes to mind, of course, Mike Silva. Everybody knows Mike Silva. Everybody uses his ballparks and, uses uniform mods, stuff like that. So really great guys that really do the work. H-Field07, who's with us, another dude that does a lot of Out of the Park work. So these are guys. Reach out to them, man. Reach out if you're not in our Name McGreevy Discord. Just get on the Out of the Park forums. You're going to find so many of your questions answered. And if not, ask the question. It's a great, great community. It really, really is. And, I've never really seen toxicity from maybe a certain game developer here and there, who shall remain nameless, because everybody knows who it is anyhow. All right. Let's do this basic tutorial because it's not just about player photos. All right, so let's get back to our main menu. Okay, so basically this is all self-explanatory. You can import an Out of the Park 25 game, which what's nice about this game, you do have to keep the other version at least installed. Don't ever delete it because you still want to be able to go to directory structure. So like for this, if I wanted to go here and go to the Out of the Park League folder, and I wanted to say create, or I wanted to bring in some of Mike's, Mike Garland's decade leagues and stuff like that, then this is where I want to go. Okay. So you can see here is all these quick starts. Okay. And I could just bring these in, stuff like that. And get this. This is really great. So it splits baseball up from 1901 to 1919. 20 to 29, 30 to 49, 50 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, 90 to 99, 2000, 2009, and 2010 to 2019. So if you're looking for a more focused experience, this is brilliant. This is comparable to the sort of franchise best and the classic decades, those two different sets that you find in Action PC Baseball. But Mike Garland didn't just, he didn't just pull from the database. He did a lot of serious work, and it's another one that I can't recommend. Of course, you can't recommend it highly. Is his integrated mod. So all this stuff available. So this is how you do that. Okay. But I'm not going to worry about bringing any of all of this stuff in right now because I just have limited spots because I'm such a junkie on this game. So let's go ahead and cancel. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Sorry, I was doing some video work, and looks like we got to fire this back up again. My fault. I haven't put all this stuff on my new PC. I'm rarely using. I bought this like fire-breathing dragon of a new PC, but it's set up. I play some games on it, but I'm largely still doing the baseball stuff on my gaming laptop. So pardon the little weirdness here every once in a while. Let's go to new game. This game gives you a plethora of choices. So unlike, well, every other digital baseball game out there, pretty much, this is going to give you more choices. And the scary thing I think that people find about out of the park baseball is once you start getting in to the game and you find there's so many moving parts, and there was one person or a few people through the years have complained, well, it's too complicated. Well, I mean, and if you feel that way, that's completely valid. I understand that. I mean, I've been playing this game since 1999, but I've taken a few bathroom breaks. I know that was really bad, right? But with all the things that this can do, right? It's sort of like anything that's powerful. I guess the best analogy I can use as a keyboard player, modern synthesizers have always been very powerful. Well, the more they can do, the more moving parts, the more menu diving you're going to do. But you're also, once you come to terms with it, you're fine. What I suggest for people is if you want to, your first foray into out of the park baseball, go to a quick start game and just pick a quick start game and give it a title and just go. So of Mike's mods right now, I didn't download all of these. I just have just the 1901 to 19, from 1901 up to 69, but I think I skipped. Yeah. So the ones I'll do later, like 1970s or whatever. But quick starts are really nice. No muss, no fuss. Just go into it, play the game. Another way to really, really get into the game is just do a strict season replay. But if you even want to go easier, how about drive for the pennant? Now, if you go into drive for the pennant, okay, so there's two ways to get to drive through the pennant. If you go for drive for the pennant as it is right now, okay, as you just see right here, that's going to just allow you to play with the current season, which is fine if you want to do that. This was originally what drive for the pennant was. It was a way for you to play. Just you play as a general manager in the drive for the pennant mode, but it will drop you into game situations, which is really, really fun. So it might drop you into one where, it's the top of the ninth. You're down by a run. There's two runners on, and try to win the game. Try to tie the game, something like that. And so guys that play this have been loving drive for the pennant. I love it too. One of the great things they've added to this is that now you can do drive for the pennant in any season from 1901 forward. So super, super cool. I've never seen anything like this. What makes this simple, and let's go to a historical game and I'll show you, because I'm not interested in playing the current season. So I'm not going to enable challenge mode. We're just not going to worry about that. Okay. So this is where you start getting into the dives, if you will. And I don't mean like bad biker bars. Okay. So you're going to have all of these options. If you're a first-time player and you don't feel like using a quick start, drive for the pennant is going to be your best friend, because all you're doing in drive for the pennant is you're managing one team, and it will give you a chance, if you want to experience the GM side of the game and the field manager type of the game. I don't play, the only time I play GM stuff, guys, to be honest, is if I'm playing drive for the pennant, because it's kind of fun. But at the end of the day, I don't care about ticket prices. I don't care about any of that stuff. I want to play baseball. But this is very, very focused. Every other game mode, there's a lot more you can do, but this thing's exciting. So that would be another way to get into out of the park baseball. So once you do drive for the pennant, you can keep kind of like it just says right here, right? So drive through the season, jumping into action at specific moments after the season. Then you can select a mode to continue on with. So it's really this great way. Why I'm going to spend a little bit more time on drive for the pennant is this. So season replays, right? We do, a lot of guys do season replays. And, of course, your influence in a season replay, whether you're doing cards and dice or digital baseball, your influence automatically is going to change everything. I'm sure even if we had a real bona fide Major League Baseball manager sit down here and actually replay one of the seasons he managed, you're still going to see different things, which is super, super cool. But what's nice about this is you get a chance to experience out of the park baseball and you're focused on just one team. And the reason I say that, again, is I can show you in other ones, you can choose to manage whatever team you want. So from this, you pick your team and you're going through with one team only. You can't change teams, anything like that. You come to grips with the GM part of it. You get a little taste of the field managing part. You can set your lineups. You can do those things. But it's an easy way to get into it. And what's really, really fun is because you're being dropped into key situations. So your engagement in the game, rather than just like, okay, wow, I'm doing this season replay and this game that's crazy at first glance, and it is a complex game, but it's not hard to navigate. So you're just jumped in there. It's like, wow, I've got this challenge. And then you just play through the game if you want. You could also, if you want to be kind of a wuss about it, you could just have a kind of sim the situation. But I think that takes the heart out of pocket, or out of pocket pennant RNGs, out of drive for the pennant mode. The next thing that I would say, if you don't want to mess with that, okay, for most guys, replay mode is going to be, this is going to be the one that you're going to want to do. This is for season replays. Strictly. This is like a single season thing. And I think 80% of baseball simmers, that's what they do. Hey, man, I'm replaying the 1972 season. I'm replaying the 1917 season. So this is the one. Replay mode meant for players who want historical accuracy. Players will be rated entirely based on their actual performance and will follow trends related to their career progression. Players will be assigned to their teams and actual lineups and transactions will be used. So this is the next easiest mode to get into. Okay. So just replay. I mean, that's kind of easy to remember. The next one up then would be default mode. So this was, for the longest time in out of the park baseball, this was the way you played it. So if we went back to older editions of out of the park baseball, this was the mode you were playing in. So meant for players who want historical accuracy with some flexibility. Players will be rated entirely based on their actual performance, but not necessarily fixed to their historical teams. So if you're feeling a little bit more comfortable about out of the park baseball, you might want to try default mode. Now, the next one is awesome. This is super, super awesome. Career mode, because this game is really built on a career model, and people have made the they've made the comparison between action PC baseball and out of the park baseball in this way. Many people feel that action PC baseball is better for season replay, and this one obviously is better because action PC doesn't have a career mode, which is kind of surprising considering that pure sim baseball does. But regardless, let's not muddy the stew here too much, right? But career mode is really cool. So it aims to play through history from whatever starting year you pick, while letting things play out differently than they did in real life. Players will develop differently than they did in real life, will get hurt and they'll sign with different teams. So this one, now you're starting to get into more experimental territory with career mode, but there are certain things that you can turn off. You can still disable trades and stuff like that, and you can, but you and still create a career mode. But this is for guys and there are people in the Out of the Park forums that have started with the National Association in 1871 and are literally replaying baseball history. So it's really, really fun. Then the last one, this is for those of us that really, really love to experiment because you never know what you're going to get. And that's the random debut mode. So this is the ultimate fantasy mode. Rosters and players in the game will pull from history. Some players may only debut later in their careers, right? So super, super, super cool about this. Advocate is applying for an advocacy job. I'm optimistic. Awesome. Yeah, it all works, right? And Ken Castro asking John DFW, where in Rhode Island? So not a very big state. Commonwealth, or is the case of the Commonwealth state? Anyhow, you guys should get together, man. Tip back 1 or 3. I don't know. All right. So all of that being said, you have all of these ways to play out of the park baseball. So I would say try a quick start or go in this order. Try drive for the pennant first. Get your feet wet. Then then after you do your drive for the pennant, it will give you a choice of one of these other modes to play. I would suggest doing a strict season replay then. Then after that, right, try default mode, then career mode, and then finally random debut. So you could get and you could do this a ton of times. So in random debut, you might get Lou Gehrig in 1936. You might get Lou Gehrig, unfortunately, in 1939. Same thing with Babe Ruth. There's no guarantee, right? It's just this wild draft, this wild thing, and these players are going to debut as you keep moving forward season to season. So this is a completely different. You could have Babe Ruth on the Pittsburgh Pirates. You could have Pie Traynor since he's from Massachusetts, the Boston Red Sox. So lots you can do there. But let's just leave this at replay mode and let's pick a year. I'm not going to play a game. I just want to get this started just so you guys can see. Okay, so we are going to we're going to stay away from the 19th century. Not that I have anything against the 19th century, but playing the 19th century is something that still needs a lot of work in out of the park baseball. I'll tell you that right now. The only way to really play out of the park baseball is you've got to start. You've got to use career mode in that and start in 1871. There are ways around that if you use Mike Garland's mods and his guides, where you could start like in 1880, 1885. I've done it. But it's tricky because the 19th century was in flux. Baseball still coming into being. You had all these different leagues, and this game is hard-coded really to be a two-league game. So that's what makes the 19th century difficult. And, of course, the Negro Leagues are recognized as major leagues, but you have to go into the minors, and then we'll show you what that means and how you can play Pacific Coast League baseball. You want to play short season A in this game, you can do it. In fact, the only game that has a larger database than this is Pocket Pennant Run. So, and they're foci. There I go with Latin again, are different. Hey, welcome in, Professor. He says, good evening. Yeah, and a lot of different rules. A lot of different rules in 19th century baseball, ball strike, everything like that. The definition of a stolen base was very, very different. You had things called sacrifice hits. We don't record sacrifice hits anymore, but that was a thing. And the only game out there that I know of, digital game, that will adapt to those rules is Action PC Baseball, but you got to play it pitch by pitch. But if you play that game in 1882, it will use the ball strike rules as they were in 1882 if you play pitch by pitch mode. So Action PC players, that might be a little thing you didn't know. Give it a shot. Again, Clinton Parks, Ken Castro, Joe Murdy, and me. I think we're like really the only four people that kind of dive into the 19th century a little bit more. And of all of us, I mean, Joe Murdy and I think are the only ones that actually play out of the park baseball. So I don't remember, Clinton, if you do any playing in this or not. I know cousin Ken really doesn't, and that's okay too, man. So many great baseball games, right? Okay. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead. I love the fact that it splits baseball into eras, and it makes sense. It just makes sense. So for the baseball boom, let's go to the baseball boom because you guys like this, 1961 to 79. Although most of you guys were probably 80s guys, but still. Okay, so cool. You even get a recap for all of your seasons, which is really, really nice. Not going to be any shock here. I'm going to pick a Pirates season, and it's going to be 1971. So there you go. You get your season recap and all the milestones and everything like that. Okay. Advanced mode. If you're new to the game, don't touch it. You really don't need advanced mode. Advanced mode is nice for setting up feeder leagues. It's nice for a lot of things. But if I were to click this right now, this would transcend, go so far beyond, rather than this being a sort of freshman course in out of the park baseball. If I hit this, we'd be talking, all right, now we're at master's PhD level. So pretend this doesn't exist if you're new to the game. All right. So we've chosen 1971. What's important with out of the park baseball is that you import that complete history up to the seasons you're playing, and I'm going to show you why. Especially if you want to play minor league baseball, or if you want to make your own roster moves, moving people up and down in the minors. If you don't import that complete history, you're going to get fictional players. You're not going to get the proper logos, any of that stuff. Okay? So what's nice is the people I think seem to forget this, that find the game difficult, is you have this historical league creation wizard. It's gonna just walk you through everything we need to do. So let's go ahead and click next step. All right, so here's where we start getting into some of the nitty gritty, but we don't have to go through advanced mode. At the end of this video, I am going to show you, I have to show you some advanced things, but not terribly advanced, because I think to get the most out of the park baseball and all the power, all the tools that it gives, you kind of have to jump into a little bit of it, but it's not too bad. Okay, so again, I like to use real historical lineups, or transactions and lineups, just like to do that. Okay, you also, besides the history, down here you're going to see you have three choices: import real minor leagues, use fictional minor league teams, or no minor leagues. I would not suggest not using no minor leagues. I just don't use it. Just have it import real minor leagues. Okay. I don't like fictional players. I don't like it. I know it's a cool challenge to get this, this whole league of players, and they're generated and stuff like that, and a lot of games allow you to do that. But for me personally, and it doesn't make it better, it's just different. There's just so much to learn still about just baseball at the major league level. I don't want to screw around with somebody named Bob Smith, that's like just this created player. But again, it's like season to taste. If that's your thing, go ahead. But I think to really get a nice experience with out of the park baseball, play with full minors. Besides, this is the only way you can play minor league baseball in this game, is to do that. Okay. Next up here, since we're doing a single season replay, this rating recount, just leave it at 1 year. Okay. We're not going to have a draft like this sort of thing. And you can see historical expansion has turned off because we're in 1971. Okay. I always disable import of financial settings because I don't care. If you're playing Drive for the Pennant mode, all this stuff is done. But I don't really care about finances. I don't care if pretzels cost $300 in my ballpark or they cost 3 cents. I don't care. If you ever get lost, you can always go back to a previous step. You can cancel out completely. Let's go to the next step. We are on step 3. Okay. Now, the scouting thing is an interesting kind of thing because, so Clinton Parks says Cards and Dice is also tough due to lack of stats, right? Yeah, you got to keep your newspapers up to play 19th century. Which let me pimp Saber for a minute, guys. Join Saber. You want access to these old newspapers, free access rather than signing up for and paying for newspapers.com. Get a Saber membership. They're cheap and the resources are insane. And you get access to the sporting news, to newspapers.com, all that good stuff. And Clinton was really cool when he used to broadcast, and I wish he would come back and do it. Now he's retired. Hopefully he will. He would actually create these really cool commercials by going through the newspapers, right, of like the home team or whatever. And it was really cool. And he would take some of these old ads and stuff like that. And this game brought to you by whatever. And it was so like Fatima cigarettes. And it was super cool that he did that. Okay. So some people say that you shouldn't use scouting. I like the scouting system myself. Okay, so it says here, please select how player ratings are displayed in the game. You may also modify the accuracy of the scouting system, which can increase or lower the difficulty of evaluating players. Historical replay leagues have the scouting system disabled and hence a 100% accuracy by default. Okay, so let's leave it turned off. It's not going to hurt, but again, you can turn it on, and if you do, then you're gonna get another to see how accurate it's going to be. But let's just go with what the game recommends. Rhode Island would get off their dead butts and donate Providence. Providence, the newspapers, we could get a great history of the Grays in a few of the early minor leagues. Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of newspapers in there, but there's lots missing. So, all right, this is, again, if you want to use Major League Baseball ratings or professional baseball ratings, I should say, they work on a 20 to 80 scale. Makes no sense to me, but you got a bunch of choices. I always do 1 to 100. I like the nuance. I like the granularity of 1 to 100. I leave stars because they're a nice little graphic reminder. Now, here we go. We're talking about player pictures, and out of the park people, you should rename this to player photos because this is where people get confused. I think it's right here because player pictures, and then people are going to say, oh, cool. And I'm going to go on the out of the park forums, or I'm going to go on the APC community or the Action PC forums, and I'm going to download player pictures. Oh, look, in my data directory, there's something here called pictures. And then they put all these photos of the players in the pictures directory, and they're not showing up in game. Well, that's because it should say player photos. All right, so to use real player photos, all you do is no fictional pictures. Coach pictures, I don't even use them, but I still put no fictional pictures. And then for face gen color mode, I just leave it at normal. If you're playing an older season, because for some players you can choose, you can have face gen if there are players missing or whatever. But I normally don't touch that. Okay, so now at this point, if it does do some face gen, then there's ways to disable that too. I just don't like to use it. If you want face gen, you can do major league players only, all players. So that means all your minor leaguers or whatever. But I just leave this at no and no. So now the game is going to know to look in the photos directory. I don't even have to mess with that. All right. Moving right along. Just follow this wizard. Stay away from the advanced mode, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Todd B says Clinton is let me I keep forgetting. I keep thinking I'm on OBS. There we go. Clinton is selling snake oil. Awesome. Okay, so here we go, guys. So you can set trade settings if you want. You can also disable trades and stuff like that. Now I'm going to show you the way I play the game because I think it's fun. I think it's really, really fun to get deep into, right? To get out of that paradigm of I'm just going to do a Red Sox replay or I'm just going to do a Pirates replay or what have you. Okay, so new game. I'm just going to put 1971 replay. I guess I could call it Kate Beckinsale if I wanted to. All right, so 1971 replay. And I'd like to do this autosave daily. Again, that doesn't matter. Now here, this play mode, GM and manager, I don't like GM and manager. If I want to do that, I'll just play drive for the pennant. What I do instead is I play as a manager, strictly manager. Most YouTube videos and things about this game you're going to see, most people play GM. They do. They just burn through seasons and change this and change that. And it's kind of like playing a spreadsheet, which is okay if that's what you like. But this game has such a beautiful 3D engine that, like, not playing on field to me makes no sense. But that's just me. Who cares? But what I also do, and some people call this cheating, but I don't. So I play in commissioner mode. I also play cannot be fired because I don't really care about manager goals and stuff like that. So let me give you my reasoning why. So player commissioner mode. The commissioner mode allows you to control other teams and edit players. You only have complete control over your game, or you have complete control over your game. It is not recommended for regular users, only for those who wish to have more control over the teams and their game universe. Even if you're new to Out of the Park Baseball, play in commissioner mode, and I'm going to show you why it's so fun. And then cannot be fired, because you can, right? I think just have these both turned on, okay? Other Out of the Park players might say, no, don't do that. This is what has always worked for me. Okay, let's go to the next step. And you guys have seen I've done tons of Out of the Park Baseball on this channel. We're almost done, and we're almost ready to jump into 1971. So I'm hoping that people catch this afterwards will find this, that will take some of the trepidation that they have about jumping into this powerful game and enjoy it. It's an amazing, it's the king of the digital baseball sims. I know that there will people here that will be debating its accuracy in a season replay. And all I can tell you guys is, with the season replays I've done, this thing is pretty damn eerie. In fact, there's a function on here where you can track your replay against the actual season, and the numbers are crazy. Now, Sean, World's Worst Gamers, had some issues with 1961 and his Yankees. They didn't do so well. Mike Garland, you're going to have to go way, way back to try to find the video till we can get Mike on here again. Mike talks about some of the things to change, to tweak in this game, but don't be afraid to experiment with Out of the Park Baseball. You're not going to break anything. Worst thing is like, oh my God, this is playing like crap. And, Mario Mendoza has hit 70 home runs. I can't have that. No, of course you can't, unless you want to. Cancel it, start over. Let yourself experience the game in little bites. And that includes those game modes we talked about. All right, so what we're doing now is it's checking all the affiliate team logos. So it's checking all the minor leagues. It's doing all this cool stuff right now that you don't have to mess with. It just does it. If you go back to Out of the Park 8, you didn't even have these choices. There were no logos, and you had Citizens Bank Park, and that was it. There was a picture of Citizens Bank Park, which was fine. Unless you were playing in 1907, then it was a little bit, well, that's weird. You had to suspend disbelief, right? All right. Cool. There we go. You don't have to assign any logos. The only time that you're going to assign logos is if you get into the real nitty gritty of this game and you're creating a custom league. But again, with Mike's awesome ballpark mod and uniform mod and everything, it's very, very easy using the filter function to assign logos. But these are the appropriate logos for 1971. Okay. But looky here. Looky here. Let's look at the American Association. Okay. So now the American Association, right? Everybody's in here. There's the Indianapolis Indians. So if I wanted to play right now, this is to select your team. Let's say if I wanted to play some AA Eastern League baseball, there's the Reading Phillies, the Manchester Yankees, the Pawtucket Red Sox, the Trois-Rivières, whatever, my French sucks. So the Waterbury Pirates, you want to dip all the way down and you want to play some Pioneer League baseball. There you go. Go for it. Play with the Caldwell Cubs, the Great Falls Giants, the Idaho Falls Angels, whatever. But we're going to stick to the majors. But let's look at the American Association again. So there you go. Indianapolis, of course, is a Pirate. They weren't then, but they're a Pirates affiliate. But let's go back to Major League Baseball. I'm going to choose the Pittsburgh Pirates. But here's the beautiful thing about playing in commissioner mode, newbies, and even veterans. You're not stuck just managing that team. You're not, which is really cool. All right, but we're going to pick, you have to pick a team or, just pick a team. You're not stuck, okay? All right, let's start the game. Show you a bit more, and we're not going to make this go too much longer. I'm not going to play a game. I just want to show you guys around a little bit. And we're going to talk about this over here. You're going to see this long string of stuff. If you want to screen cap that, you can. And I'll tell you why that exists. And it's pretty cool. So for a lot of people that have played out of the park baseball for a long, long time, the menu system at one time was a sort of pictogram type thing that was meant, because you also had a plethora of menus, but you also had these. I don't use these, to be honest. I use the good old menu system. So here we are. We are now in the game. We are ready to rock and roll. Okay. But I talked about the beauty of commissioner mode, and so I don't want to lose that thought. So right now, I am, if I go to the team home screen for the Pittsburgh Pirates, there we go. We're going to have, we see that our Buccos are in the East Division, and yeah. And then we'll get into settings in a little bit, but I do want to tell you about commissioner mode. So if you go up here to your name, there's two ways you can deal with this. So you can do act as. Okay, so what will happen is, let's say I wanted to, the San Francisco Giants, for instance. So I go to San Francisco Giants. You're going to get an attention here, and it's going to tell you, acting as a manager does not take away the computer control of the team. It's for temporary control only. To properly take control of the team, please go to the available jobs screen, which you can find in the manager menu. But there's still things you can do. All right, so I'm actually acting as the Giants right now. So if I go to the Giants, I go to the team home screen. There we go. So I have some limited control over the San Francisco Giants. Okay. Also up here, I can look at their minor league system. So if I want to look at the Phoenix Giants Pacific Coast League, I just go right there. Now I'm looking. You can see the Salt Lake City Angels, the Tucson Toros, and the Hawaii Islanders, and these will have the actual players and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But remember, since we selected to play minor league or Major League Baseball, we're not going to be playing these games, but we can promote these guys if we want to, and do what have you. But that's beyond the scope of this podcast. Let's go back to Major League. Now, if I actually want to manage the San Francisco Giants, hey Bernie, he says, just wanted to drop say hello. and hit the like button. So Bernie's been doing some golf along with his Red Sox replay. So you duffers out there, check out Bernie Strom. Good stuff. So if we go here back to your manager page, and if we go to available jobs, this is the beautiful, beautiful thing. I can quit the Pirates, but I can already come back. Okay. So I'm going to apply as the manager of the San Francisco. Well, right now I've got them covered. So let's say the St. Louis Cardinals. Okay. So am I sure that I want to work for the St. Louis Cardinals to replace your current position with the San Francisco Giants? Yes, I do. So now I have full control over the St. Louis Cardinals. Completely full control. And I think this is really nice. Let's go to the Cardinals. Let's look at rosters, or let's look at lineups and depth charts. So if you just do act as, there are certain things you cannot do. You cannot sign players. You can't draft players. You can't move them up and down, things like this. Setting depth charts, for instance. If I go to depth chart right now, since I am the manager now of the St. Louis Cardinals, I can change these depth charts. With the depth charts in this game is so super cool. Play with it. You get all kinds of drop-down menus. When do you want these guys in? Whatever. Make this universe whatever you want. If you don't want to get your hands dirty, go to actions, ask the AI, ask the bench coach, whatever, for all your depth charts if you don't want to mess with that. But now, just so nobody gets confused, I'm going to act as somebody else. You're going to see something different. So let's say I'm going to, right now I'm the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, all right? But I am going to now act as the Pittsburgh Pirates, okay? So let's go to the Pirates, and let's go back to lineups and depth charts. Okay, let's go to the graphical depth chart. You can see these are grayed out. Oops, I'm sorry, guys. Didn't mean to hit Willie Stargell there. Okay, I can't set these. So this is set such that Gene Clines is only going to get into a game if Al Oliver is tired. Well, I know as a Bucco fan that Gene Clines got in more time than just if Al Oliver was tired. But I can't change anything. Sorry, Richie. Okay, so that is the difference. So the one thing you would have to do is just apply for different jobs. So if I wanted to go back and take control of the Pittsburgh Pirates, all I have to do is go down here and I believe, oh, actually I'm already in there as the Pirates because I completely selected them. Let's say not the Indianapolis Indians, Minnesota Twins. I can apply as the manager. Now I've left the Pittsburgh Pirates. And if I go back into here, Twins, and again, I'm just using graphical depth charts, whatever. Okay, let's go to the graphical depth chart. And you can see now, again, these are enabled. I have full control over the Twins. What does this mean for your season replay? Well, if you're going through all these teams and you're looking at them, and another way to just look at the teams is just select them. So let's select Chicago White Sox. Okay. And maybe you're like, well, and again, I don't know, guys. White Sox are my really weak one. So, let's say here, for instance, Lee Richard. He's only going to get in here and shortstop only if, right, Steve Hunt ends up being tired or whatever. He's going to get in because, Luis Alvarado is going to get in this game like every 10, right? But you might disagree with that. So you can fix it by being that manager. If you don't want to get that deep, you don't have to. There's your daily lineups, of course, here that you can have the computer set up for you. It'll have you use actual lineups, but if you want to change things, you want to change history, go ahead and do it. Okay, let's go back to the team home screen here for the Twins since I took over management of them. Let's look at a couple different things. And again, the idea of this video, because I'm not doing a lot of interaction with the chat, not because I'm trying to be like, but it's because I really want to try to give somebody a good, it's going to turn out to be about an hour and a half where you can go through and follow these steps, stop the video, try this thing, try that thing. Okay. All right. So again, if we click on the twins, what's nice is we're going to see their complete farm system for that year in 1971. And from here, you can promote players, send them down to the minors, do whatever. Yeah. So cool stuff. So there's our whole organization. You can see everybody here. We can look at our pitching here for the 71 Twins. And I probably should get back to the Pirates because why not? But here's what's nice here. When you study this screen, you can set up. If you don't like the way the Minnesota Twins did things in 1971, if you don't want Ron Paranowski, right, to be your stopper, well, maybe you want to set him. Maybe you want to make him, your setup guy. I don't know, an emergency start pitcher. You can do that. You want to change your starting rotation. We got what? We got Bert Blyleven there, Tom Hall, Jim Cott, Bob Gebhardt, and then Jim Perry was your number 5 starter. Maybe you want Jim Perry to be doing a little bit more. Do what you want. Do you want to change up this rotation? It's a 5-man rotation. Make it a 4-man rotation. Have fun with it. Okay? These are the lineups. Do you want to change them around? Go ahead, and you can save lineups. You can save lineups as custom lineups. Okay? So anything that you change, you can always invoke that lineup. For actions, right? So you can generate new depth charts. You can ask all kinds of different bench coaches for all depth charts, lineups, just versus lefties versus righties. If we were in a DH year, which 71 is not, but if we're playing in 1973 American League, you could also ask for depth charts versus designated, right, or a designated hitter lineup. Okay, strategy. This is where it can get a little bit scary, but it's not. It's not. Okay, and here's why. You're seeing this whole bunch of things here for all times and all scores. And you're thinking, oh, okay, that's not that many sliders. And so this is one of the things that can get a little bit scary for people. Is if I click up here on timing, now I'm going to be sending manager tendencies for the first 6 innings, the 7th and 8th, and then the 9th or beyond, and then all these possible scoring situations. Well, and that's all fine and dandy, but the other thing you can do is just go to strategy presets. Decide maybe what you want your computer manager to do or what this computer manager should be. The reason there's no picture for coaches or managers is I didn't enable that, by the way. So if you wanted to try playing 1971 but using sabermetrics, go for it. You can. Just do whatever. You want to randomize, really shake things up, do it. There's also strategy files that you can import. And here you go. Look. So if you wanted to, for instance, have Casey Stengel manage the 1971 Minnesota Twins, just click on Casey and bring him in. So there's that option. So many options. Okay. What else? Front office. I don't really mess with front office. I don't care about front office. It's silly. I don't care. Info. There's the team schedule. So there's the Minnesota Twins. There's their schedule, and what have you. So, and you can look at those opposing teams, see who's going to be the probable starter there, or what lineups they're using. And again, you can from here also see their minor leagues. Okay, up here, these buttons act as a browser. Boom, we go back to the Minnesota Twins, their team schedule. Okay. Now Now we should probably get back. We should get into settings so that you guys can see where ballparks live and stuff like that. And if you wanted to change ballparks, okay. You also kind of need this if you're playing the Cleveland. If you're playing a late, in fact, we have to do this with Cleveland right now. Let me show you. So this is the way around that. So Cleveland, when it changed its name to the Guardians, said, well, it has to be the Cleveland Guardians. And some people thought, oh, geez, that's it. But no, that is not it. The only time this happens is if you're playing tournaments. Tournament is a different kind of game mode. So if I want to make these the Cleveland Indians, click here, type in Indians, because that's certainly who they were, right? And then hit enter. And then the only thing I have to do is change this logo. And I'll show you how to do that. Pretty nice. Okay, so let's go to logos right here. Give it a sec. Thank you for hanging in, guys. All right, so here we are. We just want to change this logo. So we're going to select it. All right, and so we can just get down here. You can see tons and tons. So this is one way to do it. The other thing that you can do is filter. So if we just do Indians, now we're just looking at the Cleveland Indians, and I just want to pick right here. Boom, and load. There we go. That's the proper logo for the 1971 Indians. Beyond the scope of this video to show you how to work with uniforms, high socks, all that kind of stuff. Okay, but I'm just going to click OK. Boom. All right, and now we're the Cleveland Indians. So there's the workaround. That's it. This game it's ready to go. What's fun too is if you want to just kind of test out what you're doing, play an exhibition game. Just play an exhibition game. Okay, pick any two teams from that year and let them play. Okay. Lastly, we're almost to the end of this now. We want to get into something that you will kind of want to mess with at some point, is game settings. All right, so most of this self-explanatory, but I want to show you the things that I like to do, because this game will let you watch an entire game replay that you've missed. So let's say you're doing a season replay and somebody pitches a perfect game. Well, in most games, all you're going to get is like kind of the text thing of it. But maybe one night you're coming home from work, or you're like Ken and Clinton, and you've been rolling games all day, and you're like, damn it, there's no good baseball on tonight on MLB TV, and this is assuming they play out of the park, which they don't. But wow, look at this. Christy Mathewson had a no-hitter. Oh, I want to watch that game. I want to kick back with a beverage and some peanuts and whatever, and I want to watch the game. Well, you do have to do some setting up to be able to see those games. All right, so what you want to do, so you want to save all your box scores. What I do is is like here for generate recaps. This is going to be really easy, guys. I just do all leagues. Actually, I do all leagues from everything. So just set all this to all leagues. Okay. I want that graph generation. I think the graphs are cool. I want the game logs, again, from all leagues. I want replays. Probably here all major leagues. This is going to be the one different thing. Okay, save replays in pitch-by-pitch mode. I don't. Generate highlights. You want this, again, at least for all major leagues, because it's the only way you're going to be able to see highlight reels. Okay, and then save movements, 3D movements from all leagues. That's pretty much all you have to do with this part. So if you forget the one exception, just make this all leagues. That's how you're going to be able to watch everything. All right. Now, over here, this again, you've already done this bit, believe it or not. So you can ignore all this stuff. Let's go to players and team. Okay, players and team. So do you want to keep career splits? Yes or no? Most of this you're not going to have to worry about. You can reset logos. You can reset textures. If you have Mike Silva's uniform mod, ballpark mod, don't even touch this. You're already ready to rock. Okay. You can also add a new league to the game. You can add a tournament to this game if you want. So you can jump right into a tournament mode in this league that you've already set up. Pretty cool, right? They do complain about the depth of the game, but if you want something that you want as much control over, or you want to rewrite things, or you want to get your hands dirty, and you say, okay, I mean, come on, you can import actual manager strategy files into this thing. You can, but you have to get into this part to do that. So I don't want to go too deep into this because now we are getting a little bit more advanced. I would say don't mess with this at all. Okay, face gen. Okay, face gen. This is pretty important here. If you want to use real photos, right here, this player face gen bit here, player face gen pictures, click none. Okay, just click none, and then they won't show up. Generate player face gen photos, put on demand. Just leave that alone, because this kind of overrides all of this stuff. Okay, and again, it says coach, right? Coaches, if you want to mess with that, you can. AI settings. Let's go into AI settings. This is for trading difficulty. If you want to mess with that, I don't touch it. Okay. I don't worry about any of this trade deadline stuff. I don't worry about ratings, weights, anything like that. Okay. Almanac, I don't even mess with it. I just don't. Database. Database, this is going to be for an advanced video. League settings, this is the other one. So really you want global settings, league settings. And then you do have down here, and we'll get into these a little bit. Okay. This is where you can reset injuries. Okay, reset fatigue. So maybe you've gone a week or two into the season, you're like, oh wait, damn it, I want to reset everything. This is where you do it. Okay. You can also erase their career stats and stuff like that if you want. Up here, there's the 3D ballpark construction kit. A number of ways to get to this. New feature this year is you can create more random ballparks, but random ballparks based on real ballparks. So I'll let you work that one out yourself. But you can edit ballparks here. Change your league structure. Let's say you've gone all this way. It's like, oh shit, I don't want to do that league structure. I want to do a different league structure if you want. And it's just basically, this is so easy to do. And you can even add teams to an existing league. So you have 1971, but you want to spice things up and say, you know what, I'm going to pick 6 teams from history and I'm going to put them in 1971. So maybe I want to put the 1922 Browns, the 1915 Phillies, the let's say 50 Red Sox, what have you. You can do that. It's so super cool to be able to do that. Okay. Let's go back one page. All right. Now, if we go to league and teams, most of this is all self-explanatory. As you can see, here's all their names, everything like that. Most of this stuff you're never going to have to deal with. Okay, rules kind of important. They're kind of important. But let me hasten to add that you don't, and I've seen viewership dropping way off. This is really for after the fact, for people that watch this later. Do you want to, this is where you can get really granular if you want. I wanted to show a few advanced features, right? So you could have designated hitter, God forbid, before 1973. So if I wanted to mix things up in 71, I could do something goofy like have a designated hitter just in the National League. How would that play out? I don't know. This is where you turn it on, and it makes sense. It's rules. And again, we're in the game settings, so these are kind of global settings that you're doing for your game. The most important thing that we did was under Face Gen to disable it. if you don't want to do it. All right, cool, cool, cool. Nice. All right. This is where, okay, if you're playing dead ball baseball, for instance, you would probably want to allow ties. Okay, so go in there and do it. Do you want to do? There's like modified extra innings. That's the bullshit one, which we don't want. That's the ghost runner on second. Don't even touch it if you're a baseball purist. Damn it. Um, what do you want to have an expanded roster size? You can do that. What do you want your initial? You want to if you want to have your initial roster size up to 50 players, go for it. This game is a playground as much as it is a serious baseball sim. Financials, I'm not even gonna look at it. I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit. Do you want to change the pitcher award name? I know I would. I would change this because it should be the Walter Johnson Award. I'm not going to change it right now, but this is kind of some of the stuff that you can play with if you want to. Okay. Most of all this, you're not going to have to touch when you're new to the game. Okay. There we go. Players. We got default player origins. I never touch it. I don't. Okay. Here's the historical stuff. Again, so at the very beginning when we were setting up the league, we already said that we wanted real historical lineups or real historical transactions, transactions, the historical transactions, and use real injury list transactions. So this is already set. So you can see, guys, that most of this plethora, this pile of crazy stuff, you never, ever, ever have to touch an out of the park baseball if you don't want to. I just want to show you a little bit of underneath the hood to show you that a lot of what you did through the league creation wizard has been done here. I don't know. I guess here this is kind of important. If you can look at totals from all kinds of different years in baseball, if you want to. So pretty nice, and you can apply those things if you want. So I could look at 1901 league total. Well, I don't know that I'd want to in 1901 because of the number of teams. But let's say I wanted to look at 1969 or 73, 74, 75, whatever. Change it up if you want. You can lock league total stats if you want. Boom. Lot of things going on in this game. I get it. You don't have to play any of it. You can just go up here and just start playing. And that's it. That is that. But just so that you can see, let's go back to the Twins home team, team home screen or player list. And if I mouse over people, there's no face gen, baby. There you go. All these players are in here. And I love that. Other things you can get into in out of the park baseball that I suggest you give a try, if you're playing in career mode, is the player development lab. It's brilliant. It's the player development lab is one of the coolest things ever. No other game has this. No other game. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I've never heard of any other baseball game that has this. Maybe MLB The Show has it. That might be the only one that would come to mind, but you want to develop your players. Maybe you've got a guy that's he's not making good contact in the ball. Well, you want to give him some time to improve his eye. But the thing about the player development lab, you can't create a super player. So that means you're going to have to sacrifice something to get something. So it's kind of like creating an RPG character. But it works really, really, really well. And you can watch how people are progressing, and you will get a report on, from the coach, maybe the pitching coach, batting coach, whatever, saying, well, Jim Smith, he's reached his peak. So then you can decide to take him off, free off that slot to let somebody else work on their skills. And this carries over from season to season. So you have a nice hands-on way to say, I want this guy to do this, or I want this guy to do that. Super, super cool things that you can do. Later videos for Out of the Park Baseballs, we get about ready to shut things down here now. Is we're going to get into doing things like how do you sign players? How do you trade players? How do you import single players? How do you import a crap ton of players? How do you do custom leagues? How do I set up a tournament? How do I create feeder leagues? How do I get into the deeper stuff? So we've come in. We've got about 10 minutes to go because I said this will be about an hour and a half. I hope this serves as a nice primer for everybody that's new to Out of the Park Baseball. Takeaway from this is don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of all this stuff. You don't have to. There's nothing to be afraid of here at all. But you want to have some fun. You want to look at your whole minor leagues. Man, if you're a stat geek, get into it. And one last thing, speaking of stat geek, I love this is a great feature. Let's go to the league history and let's go to the history index. What you're going to find really fun here is you get to pretend that you had baseball reference, but baseball only goes up to 1970. We picked 1971. Pretty damn cool. You want to have a nice look at history, a nice clean look at history. Let's look at milestones. These are the actual milestones that these guys had that they were coming into the 1971 season, for instance. So for Maury Wills, all right. So Maury Wills, 2,000 hits. He is 60 or what? He has 52 hits. He has 52 hits to go, and he'll reach 2,000 hits. So this is great stuff. It really is. Christopher Slovak. Yeah. So look, I call people gurus in different games, and Christopher Slovak is one of the gurus of Out of the Park Baseball. This is a great game. People freak out. It's $50. I don't know. There's no other game that gives you what this does. And so I still think it's a steal. What you can do in this game is just phenomenal. But I love the league history thing. It's amazing. What a great way to study baseball. What a great way to study baseball, right? You know, and I can click on any of these guys here, and I can look at Carl Yastrzemski, whatever his milestone was, and see. And you got this nice graphics to give you an idea. Okay, where is he in contact? Is BABIP, right? Avoiding strikeouts. Well, maybe I want to give Yaz a little bit of gap power, right? So this is a way that you can go into player development and start working on that. So here's that thing. Everything is kind of like where it is for Yaz. So if I wanted to bring up his gap power, for instance, I'm going to have to take something away. So where's he really excelling at right now is I. So I could maybe take a little bit away from I. Let's let this come down a little bit. And now for him to work on his gap, then all I've got to do is plus sign his gap, or I can just slide it up. There we go. So you can't create a super player in this game. Besides that, I mean, how much more? I mean, Yastrzemski, how much more I does he need? So there you go. But let me reset this because, yeah, whoops, I got to do this to reset it. There we go, and there we go. And see, notice I can't pull these up further. So you're not going to ever be able to create a player like that. So let me finish off this last few minutes here by telling you why I love this game so much. Christopher Sloak said, I never underestimate Out of the Park Baseball. It has uniforms for every year, teams. What? Yeah. So let me. It's a little easier for me. My eyes are so tired tonight for some reason. I don't know. He says, never underestimate this. It has uniforms for every team. And why do these not work when you make a custom season? So you have to do a little bit of work. Mike told me that that's something that I guess there's some sort of coding issue and everything like that, or what have you. So that would be a great one to ask the developers because they do They do, they do respond. They do respond. But that said, it's a little bit of work. But if you use that filter thing, Chris, you're pretty good. Setting up the uniforms is a bit of a pain in the ass in a custom game. That's for sure. And I know you're a big dude in the custom game. So why do I love this game? Number one, and this is going to get a lot of blowback. This is a very accurate baseball sim. It is. It just is. But it also gives you the freedom to do what you want. Literally just do what you want, except for making super players. Although you can create players in this game, and you could actually, I guess, make super players that way. But why would you want to? Why else do I love it? I think it's a great learning tool. It's a great learning tool for baseball. If we go back to this history index, let's look at Hall of Fame. This is so cool because the Hall of Fame is only existing up to 1971, as you'll see here as this loads in. Speaking of Hall of Fame, they also have a partnership with the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And as this is growing with each edition, you'll see more. You can already see all the real plaques, but I kind of like these plaques. And that you'll see here in a minute. Maybe it's not this league, it's another league. But you're going to see these. Yeah, it's another league. Never mind. Because now baseball's not existing further. This is making me play baseball. So there's nobody in here. So we're actually at the end of 1970. So anybody that was inducted in 1971 is not here yet. And I think that's really cool. What a great way to look at this, right? I mean, it's super, super cool. Don't have anything in Cooperstown collection there. So mea culpa. Mea culpa, mea culpa. You want to look at voting history. No other game gives you this, man. This is Baseball reference inside this game. Right? There we go. So we do see Hall of Fame voting there for 1971 and whatever, but we can see who got inducted. I almost said abducted. Who are upcoming eligible players? Well, there we go. Notice that these are the players that were eligible for 1971. So much that you can do that's just incredible. You can do sortable lists here. And obviously the guys in green are already in. So let's see. What else do we have here? Okay. And then these are, of course, all the inducted players. We can also filter the inductees by their name, country, whatever. So right now you're going to have just England and the United States pretty much, or what have you, because these are, a lot of the old white guys were here at this point. I think it plays an excellent game of baseball. The graphics are beautiful. They're so open to modding. So with the addition this year of live scoreboards, well, Mike Silva's ballparks also have live scoreboards, and it's pretty cool. It's super, super cool. The game's great write-ups. I love that. The nice balance between sort of graphic representation and textual representation. It's got a good reactive crowd into it. Decent play-by-play. I don't pay attention to the play-by-play too much unless there's a weird thing I don't understand. You got all these weird screen filters you can do. The fact that I can create almost anything I can imagine in this game makes it tops in my list. Other games that come to mind would be Digital Diamond Baseball and Pocket Pennant Run. And Action PC if you own the seasons, or if you've gotten a lot of like free downloads like Steve Tate's Blue Rose Cases downloads, what have you. But you got that's pretty hefty investment to buy the stuff for Action PC. And some of us did do it. So many ways to play this game. You want to play, and I'm not even going to touch on Perfect Team. You want to play this as a general manager only, go for it. You want to play Drive for the Pennant, go for it. You want to create a tournament, Do it. You want to create a custom league? Do it. You want all fictional players? Go for it. You want to play a game in 1971 but add other teams from other seasons? Go ahead. You want to play a random debut league? Do it. You want to create a custom made set of rosters and import them? Go ahead. You want to sign Paul Wainer onto the 1962 Mets? Have at it. The freedom is here to do it. It really is an infinite baseball sandbox. And I realize it's a polarizing game. These things over here, I said I was going to talk about really quickly. These have been with Out of the Park since the first Windows edition. I never touch these things, but if you want to, you can. Mouse overs. I think that the these do a lot. These already do a lot. Okay. So I don't really mess with any of this. So I hope this helped. How do you contact the developers? Just go on the Out of the Park forums. They're that good. They are really that good. And just contact from there. You can also DM people on there as well. MV. So there you go. Yeah, I really like Drive for the Pennant this year. I don't know if they heard me or heard you or whomever talking about it, but I was saying all last season, it's like what I want them to do is to add Drive for the Pennant for all the Major League seasons. And they're here from 1901 to now. Mike Garland has a great idea for a sort of, I call it a perfect manager. And if Out of the Park Baseball will implement that, and I invite you guys to go to the Out of the Park forums and look for that specific thread, it's a brilliant idea. And if they implement Mike Garland's perfect manager idea, that's pretty much what I'll be doing exclusively in Out of the Park Baseball. But what else can you do in this thing, man? You just want to replay a World Series? Go ahead. Any two teams in history, go ahead. Set up huge megalithic tournaments like Chris Slovic does. Do it. So MV says, quick but fun way to finish seasons. Oh yeah, but what also is cool, mate, is how it will drop you into sometimes seemingly impossible situations. And I absolutely love that. I'm going to change back and get my job back with the Bucks, because I'll be like, what am I doing with the Pie? Or what am I doing with what am I doing with the Twins? Okay, there. Now I'm managing the Pirates again. Yay, Buccos. That's it, guys. Thank you for coming in. I hope that those of you who watched this, who are new to the game, again, forget about some of the advanced stuff that I showed later. That was more just to reinforce that what you did through those 5 steps of that league creation wizard has already set up pretty much what you want to do in this game, but you always have the freedom to go in and change things as long as you remember to play in commissioner mode. And don't get yourself fired. Just put can't get fired and you're good to go. Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry. I forgot that I said I was going to do. Show you just how kind of ballparks work in this thing. I already showed you logos. We go to edit ballpark. And again, you have to have Mike's ballparks. So this is Three River Stadium as it would have been in 1971. I've seen pictures. So in 1975 or 76, this disappeared and these club boxes were extended here, and they changed the color of this. Later on, they would get rid of the nosebleed seats and stuff like that. So these are the park factors. So you don't have to move these guys around. You can just, this is really just a nice visual indicator that you've got, that your ballpark model, your 3D model that you're going to be using, and Mike already has this set up for you. But I want to show you just how to navigate this. If you decided you wanted the Pittsburgh Pirates to play at Baker Bowl, you could do it. Again, there's not much holding you back in this game. 19th century needs work. I would say if you want to play 19th century baseball, you have 2 ways to do it. Start in 1871, and then you're going to have a lot more accuracy. or just play tournaments or do drafts leagues in the 19th century. Once you hit 1901, though, you can pretty much go crazy with this thing. All right, so for ballparks, really quickly, you can go to the 3D ballpark construction kit and create a ballpark that way if you want. But let's go to 3D model. And this is also where you set up cameras. So here's Three River Stadium. Yay. Thank you, Mike Silva. Mike Silva is the hero of many. In fact, a lot of guys are using his ballparks now in Action PC and Digital Diamond Baseball. So I could load a new 3D model and make that, and then load in the park factors for that baseball park. And all of a sudden now I could move the Pittsburgh Pirates to the Baker Bowl if I wanted to. Or if I was playing back in 1915, I could, I don't know why I'd want to, but I could put the Phillies in the Kingdome, for instance, or I could put them in the Vet or Citizens Bank Park. There's not too much you cannot do in this game. You want to set cameras. So if I do this, I could set this as a new camera if I wanted to, right? Some sort of weird kind of view like this, and save it as a new camera. But you really don't have to do that. Let's jump out of this because Mike gives you tons and tons of camera views that you can look at. And I know Chris, the way he sets up his screen, it's something we haven't even gotten into. So we didn't get in a game. How you can move widgets around, they call them, so that you can customize the interface for yourself. Okay. But here, for instance, look at all these cameras. So if we went wide TV, there you go. There's a wide TV shot if you want. Let's pick a couple other ones. And we got to thank Mike for these. How about 70s behind home plate TV? Look at that. Now, if anybody was at Three Rivers, they would recognize this. The golf sign, Mellon Bank, and there's the Pirates logo right there. And wow, how about it? This is all thanks to Mike Silva. It's just great, isn't it? You can delete all the cameras. I wouldn't. You can also copy cameras. So don't forget that. You can copy cameras. So here's where you can play. You want to change up the weather. You want to make it like this is Fairbanks, Alaska, and go for it. Have fun. Last thing maybe here, you can import sounds. So I know a lot of people are doing this in Action PC Baseball. You can also create your own and put your own sounds in Three River State or in any ballpark. Ball locations, don't even touch this because you'll lose your mind. Mike has these set up the way they should be. And so too does Out of the Park Baseball if you're using one of the parks that comes with the game, which they're gorgeous. They use a different version, a different software or whatever than Mike uses. So look for not like a day-to-day series, but the next thing, and maybe we get Chris on here to help us out with this, will be creating custom leagues. Or maybe Chris can talk about how he creates these incredible tournaments that he does, because he found a way around the 70-team limitation, which I think is super cool. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Let's go back to the Pirates home screen, and we're going to end this thing. MV, I hope you come back sometime. I want to hear you doing some broadcasting again. I know you're doing Field of Dreams. I don't even know if you're doing. I'm not getting notifications. I'm still subscribed to your channel, so I don't know if you're doing Field of Dreams stuff or not. But I certainly do hope that you will do some broadcasting there, my friend. I miss you. I miss all you guys over there. I really do. All right, this is Beatles Eternally thanking you. And again, guys, do some screen caps when you're watching this after the fact. Drop some comments if you still need this more focus. Were there things you didn't understand? Was there something else you wanted to learn about this game? As a beginner, okay, this is not meant to be an advanced tutorial. Follow that league creation wizard and start out either in Drive for the Pennant or replay mode, and you'll find that this game is very, very easy to work with. All right. All right. So with that said, thank you, family, for coming in. I didn't expect this to be a well-attended broadcast. This is, again, more educational. I've done quite a few of these, but there are still a lot of new people coming to this game. All right. Until the next time, family, we'll see you around the batting cage. Good night.